Howdy, folks. Time for this week's commercial break. Because the more competent commercial LOs that Nexa has pushing volume, the more that Mike can use that volume to secure Nexa relationships with some pretty beastly commercial lenders. I mean, who doesn't want a working relationship with a commercial HUD or Freddie backed lender? Okay, today's subject commercial relationships. Sorry to keep beating this dead horse, but commercial lending is not like residential lending. If you want to run a VA loan, you collect some basic information and then run the file through AUS. Depending on those results, you have a very good idea how difficult that loan will be to originate, who to send it to, and what expectations to set with your borrower. Heck, if you're good, you'll even have a rough idea as to the rates, terms, and costs your client will get. Residential lending is very regulated, which means that for better or worse, rates, terms, and all that jazz are going to be relatively similar.
Commercial lending is the Wild West. As I mentioned in some of my classes, and I'm certain that I mentioned it in a previous post, I've had quotes come back for a commercial opportunity with rates coming in between 7.11% and 14.5%, with loan products including bridges, fixed, and ARMs. There are over 10,000 commercial lenders out there. If there's money to be made, chances are there's a lender out there who would like to be part of that transaction. Now, the intent with this novella of mine is to talk about relationships. So what does beating that poor horse corpse from before have anything to do with that? Well, the short answer is everything. Let's make this simple. Let's say that you have a client who wants to buy a commercial property. If you were to go to that client and offer loan A, which has a 9.99% interest rate, or loan B with a rate of 6.5%. If both loans are identical in terms of LTV, cost, term, etc., in every way but the rate, which option is your client likely to go with? Let's not be difficult and simply agree that loan B is the more ideal option. Okay, now let's say that you're the lender who offers loan B as a product. It's clear to you that your loan smacks all your competition. Life is good for you, and your company generates a fair bit of business. What are the incentives out there that would allow you to share access to this product to, let's call it what it is, your competition? I've had this discussion with several lenders and loan officers over these last few months, and the most common incentive that gets brought up is volume. The argument is that by increasing the loan officers who have access to your product, the more market impact you can have. And that reasoning isn't wrong, but there's another factor that needs to be considered: reputation. As a lender, you exert a high level of control over your commercial originators. You provide them with training and opportunities to sharpen their skills, ensuring that when they represent your organization and your products, they do so with full comprehension of your lending process. Higher efficiency means less time wasted on unqualified opportunities. Less unqualified opportunities means that your underwriters get to spend more of their time on qualified ones, which ultimately generates more money for your business. Introducing variables into the mix is a risky venture. Yes, opening your product line up to a brokerage or two might increase the numbers of originators pushing your product. But if you can't control how qualified these new originators are, you're bound to introduce inefficiencies into your pipeline. These usually take the form of wasted underwriting time on files that don't pan out, and wasted company time as your people quote out loans that aren't moved upon. This is the reason that only about half of the commercial lenders that are working with Nexans are currently represented on LOS. Yes, having access to 3,500 loan officers is an attractive prospect, but they really don't want to deal with the headache that is 3,500 loan officers being given the keys to the best products on the market without necessarily being qualified to sell that product. All that said, there are still quite a few lenders who are open to work with Nexans, just not every Nexan. And this is where your ability to build and maintain relationships comes into play. Let's go back to our example. You're the lender that has access to that market-breaking product. You just rebuffed another broker trying to get access to your products because you don't want to risk damage to your operations or reputation by letting just anyone in. Just then, you get a communication request from an LO that seems respectful enough. This LO introduces himself as some crazy commercial loan guy, talks quickly, but demonstrates that he at least understands enough about commercial lending to discuss an opportunity he's working with. You, or one of your underlings, gives the opportunity a thorough review
and it seems viable. Statistically, you're more likely to allow this crazy LO to work with you than the bulk of others who try to do the same thing because, on an individual level, you're still able to control the quality of opportunities that come your way. I mean, worst case scenario, if this crazy guy ever does wrong by your company, you simply revoke his access or professionally ghost him. I know I'm not really dropping groundbreaking info here, folks, but take it from me. Managing commercial relationships is very important. As a commercial LO, you need to ensure that you're showing your lending partners the utmost respect by pre-vetting your clients to ensure that you're not going to waste your lender's time. FICO, financial foundation, details of the transaction, liquidity, rate and term expectations. These are all things that you should know ahead of time to ensure that your client fits within your lender's risk appetite. Approaching your lenders only if you have at least a reasonable expectation that they can win the business. Lenders understand that very few commercial opportunities pan out, but they also can learn over time which loan officers genuinely try to give them viable opportunities and which ones are simply throwing stuff at the wall to see if it sticks. Be the former, not the latter. Responding to quotes and giving feedback. Nobody likes being told that they're not good enough. And by that token, nobody likes being the person to tell someone else that their best didn't cut it. Still, if a lender takes the time to quote out your client and your client moves forward with another option, let your lender know so that they can close that file. Actually giving a damn about the lender on the other side of the line. Remember details about their personal life so that when you communicate with them, it's not always about business. Remember, folks, especially in this industry, reputation lost is reputation that's very hard to earn back. Take care of your commercial contacts, and they'll take care of you in return.